All right, welcome to the Mortgage Show. And today, me and Chris have a very special guest today. Chris George, the owner and founder of CMG Home Loans, his second appearance. Chris, thanks so much for coming back.
Randy, thanks for having me. Chris, thank you so much. Right before the call, right before today's show, Chris asked me if I was ready. I said, I've been looking forward to this session, frankly, since you invited me.
Yeah,
This is going to be the highlight of my week, and that'll just tell you the kind of week I'm having.
I'm
I'm,
sure.
I'm super excited.
Thanks for coming. No, we're having a similar type week. I don't know if you heard about the blizzard that's going on or that just happened yesterday. It was pretty wild up here. Kids had an extra day of school off for me, so an extended vacation for me with the kids. So I'm ready to get back in the office.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we had this thing out here we don't see very often. It shuts down our schools too, called rain. And it's we actually last week over about a 2 day period of time, 2.5 day period of time, we had something like almost 3 inches, which I understand is nothing to you guys, but it's a lot to us in
It is
Northern
a lot of
California.
rain. I've always heard that 1 inch of rain is like a foot of snow, so I can imagine if it was out here, we would have.
It's a decent amount.
So, well, good. I'm glad we made it. Me and Chris have been looking forward to this too. We got a chance to talk a bunch over the past year, but a lot has happened since last time you were on the podcast. You talk about this all the time with us loan officers, but I want, and Chris does too, to get out to our referral partners and the people in Southern Maine, New Hampshire, where we do business, the idea of what CMG has done with acquiring a bank and becoming CMG Bank. I know it's a big thing for you going on right now, but tell us more about that. I mean, that happened last year, but where are we at with that?
Well, if you take a couple of steps back and start thinking about our industry, not just our industry, the real estate industry, the banking industry, a couple of things are happening, which isn't news. I'm not the first person to tell anyone this, but the truth of the matter is that there's a fair amount of competition. Margins continue to be compressed, and there's a fair amount of consolidation happening. And so the way we started thinking about the bank side was a couple of things. Number one, could we play on both sides of the balance sheet? Could we be on the debt side, which of course we're on now, but could we also potentially play on the asset side, deposits, checking accounts, investment opportunities, multifamily, business loans, small business loans? Could we enhance the product offering that our loan officers have today with other product that isn't inertly designed and tied to mortgages per se? And could we offer that to the existing book of business that we have, our borrowers, our clients, our previous customers, our referral sources? And so we started there. What we discovered was a couple of things, unintentional, positive, unintentional discoveries. Number one, we discovered that there was a huge amount of funds available through the Federal Home Loan Bank and other organizations that allow you to be able to utilize down payment assistance programs, especially around the FHLB, which is great for first-time home buyers around the country. Number one. Number two, we found that there is an opportunity to interact with other banks. So while our bank, we're about $1 billion bank right now, and we're in the process of looking to purchase another bank in the great state of Wisconsin. I've always hated it when the 49ers played the Packers. And particularly when Aaron Rodgers was there. That guy was supposed to be on our team, and you were supposed to get Kaepernick, but we didn't. We ended up switching that whole thing. And so I never wanted to play the Green Bay Packers. And now here I am. I think I'm getting ready to sponsor part of advertisement in Green Bay, which is fantastic. But nonetheless, it has opened up my eyes to a world that we were unable to play in before because again we were only really on one side of the balance sheet. It also allows us to offer some product that we otherwise would not be able to offer internally rather than having to broker or sell it elsewhere. Things like non-QM, DSCR loans, bank statement loans, short-term rentals or condotels. And so we're pretty excited about the breadth of offering this is. It doesn't come without a few pains and aches, I can tell you that. The regulatory scheme in the banking world is a little different than the regulatory scheme in the mortgage banking world. I'm not saying one is necessarily wildly different than the other, but it most certainly is a slightly different process on how you go about doing what you're doing. We're taking it fairly methodically. To your comment, Randy, we closed on the bank in July of last year. We have moved some of our branches over as of the beginning part of this year. In the middle of April, we're doing a huge overhaul of the technology from a banking perspective. And then we're going to start hopefully getting some of our employees and a few of our key and strategic partnerships to move their relationships over the bank. So we're getting there. It is. I've always enjoyed what I did. There's an old saying that says, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Well, that's me. But I also love this too because it's a whole new world opened up into my world today.
I think it's a pretty big deal that we are pivoting into that space. I don't know that a lot of other mortgage companies are moving in that direction. Have you seen other companies do similar type acquisitions, or are we leading?
No, there's a couple of other mortgage companies that have a very small banking relation, very small. Again, we're about $1 billion, so we're minute. A couple of the other ones are a couple $100 million bank, and they're more of an alternative or ancillary side of their business. It isn't a focal point of their business. There are clearly mortgage companies that are full blown owned by banks. You certainly know all of them from
U.S. banks, BOAs.
from the too big to fail to Regions to Flagstar to all the others in between. We like to think that we're sort of the anti-bank bank. So we have the product all-in-one, and the product all-in-one is a sweep account for your mortgage, right? So it's a fantastic loan for someone to really almost operate like they're their own independent bank. But even further than that, we start talking about this concept of a nationwide community bank. A nationwide community bank, because clearly the folks in Wisconsin have different priorities and needs than maybe the people in Washington, or Texas different than Tennessee, or California different than perhaps Georgia. And so what we're trying to do is say, look, we're going to have a market leader, if you will, in the state of Wisconsin, in the state of California, Texas, elsewhere. And that individual is going to direct the activity to the branches within that state. Now, the idea is that the concept of community, and we've sort of renamed some of the letters of the organization: community, mentorship, and gathering. So we're embedded in this community. It's ironic, we're growing the bank in many ways the same way we grew the mortgage company. We didn't grow the mortgage company by going from San Francisco to LA to Dallas to New York to Chicago. Matter of fact, we almost stayed away from those big cities and really focused on the communities that surrounded those cities and grew the company that way. We're doing the same thing with the bank. And so the concept is we want to be able to have folks that understand our bank branch and its location as a place where the community can come together, where we can mentor, teach people how to either utilize banking products or, for that matter, buy homes or refinance their home to better their financial position. And lastly, a gathering place for businesses to be able to conduct business with or without doing business with the bank. But the idea that they'd have a centered focal place that they could go and do business, and which makes it cool because we kind of get embedded in that concept of community.
Now, do you anticipate each mortgage branch being a branch of the bank moving forward, or do you actually have to have other traditional bank branches open in each state that you do business in?
A combination. So we've been doing some investigation on something called an ITM, which is interactive teller machine, not an automated teller machine. Mm-hmm. So an interactive teller machine, you walk up and you hit a button and Chris shows up, or Randy shows up, or Nadine shows up, and you're speaking to an actual teller. And you can conduct business as if you were speaking to a person in a teller window. You can make deposits, you can withdraw money, you can wire money, make mortgage payments. It's like a super powerful ATM, but you're speaking to somebody. We clearly have the full-blown automated mechanism where you can use your phone to be able to make your deposit and all that kind of stuff. It's part of the technology, the enhanced technology that we're doing right now. Again, it comes on board in the middle part of April. Mm-hmm. That's one form of a bank branch. There is a form of a bank branch that doesn't take deposits, but the branch itself is underneath the bank charter, and that's called a loan production office, an LPO. And then we've been thinking through, could we do a little combination of these things? Could we put a bank branch or a financial services aspect of the bank, could we put them in your guys' branch And you could have bank customers come in and conduct business, and you could also have mortgage people come in. We don't think that one size fits all. The mortgage industry isn't one size fits all, but we do think there's an opportunity for us to be able to utilize full blown bank branches, maybe an ITM and maybe a loan production office in different parts of the country.
I'm anxious to see what happens. Obviously, only a small part of the company is officially part of the bank at this point, but it's going to take time to roll things out. Like, right, you have to do it strategically where it might not even be that we're part of the bank until a couple of years from now.
You're 100% right. I mean, we're not rushing to do anything.
Yeah.
There are some advantages of working underneath the bank. I mean, not the least of which is licensing. I will tell you something that's interesting, and since a lot of people are watching this that are part of the company and also external of the company, maybe folks that are thinking about making a move, there's a there's this interesting phobia about working for a bank as a loan officer. And the phobia is, I think, is real. That there are a lot of banks that conduct themselves in such a way that they aren't like an independent mortgage banker that would have the mentality of, okay, Chris, tell me what you got. Well, I've got a loan that I need to cross collateralize on 3 separate pieces of property so that the guy can get some equity out to buy his new home. And then when he sells off these other properties, he's going to pay the loan off. That's too complicated for our community bank. We do those loans today. It's been the mainstay of the way we think about things, and the innovativeness and some of the entrepreneurialness associated with the independent mortgage banker side, especially us as a company, is translative to the bank side. And so I think that those folks that have gotten involved, and by the way, it doesn't matter if it's just a community bank or a really big national bank, there are just certain things that slow down the process, and maybe the agility or nimbleness of the independent mortgage banker gets lost when you get caught up or wrapped around that whole process of being in a bank. We plan to not get wrapped up that way. We're tight with our regulatory community, the Fed, and also the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. I mean, we're an organization that did $35 billion last year, but you would think we operate like a company that did maybe $3.5 billion last year. It's always funny when my colleagues with other companies that are about our size are always saying, "What did you do yesterday?" Well, I had a top producing loan officer at my house last Thursday. What? What are you doing with those people? You don't want loan officers at your home. They might break something, and I that's the best part of my job. Doing this is like freedom to me. I mean, this is the best part of what I get to do every day. And so we think mentally we're going to shift the way people perceive a bank. And by the way, that's not just employees of the bank, but also that's customers of the bank. That customer first kind of mentality. Every customer, every time, no exceptions, no excuses. I think that is a little lost sometimes in the banking world. And it shows because it's interesting to me how simple it has been for us to talk to people, because most people don't seem to really like their bank very much, which maybe it's like their dentist, so from my perspective, I'm going to win those customers over with high quality service, high quality pricing and product, and high quality concepts of how we can help them save or make money with their banking relationship.
Chris, whenever you're talking, it's an energy level thing for me as I'm listening to you. Your energy level is just off the charts, and I think that sort of moves into your ideas about what this looks like in the future with the bank. Where are you at with your energy levels? Like, what's going on with Chris George the next couple of years?
What I'm thinking here, Chris, where am I at with my energy level? I don't get a lot of curveball questions, but that's certainly one of them.
And I know it's a simple question, but it's like, you've built a long career, man. From where you started to our conversation today, I personally wonder where your next 10 years is. Not that I'm judging you, but what's Chris George's motivation here?
Well, that is a fantastic question. I can answer that one. I can also answer the first question as well. I figure I'm 63 years old, so I figure I have a solid 10 years. And you guys know this, that if you think about your career for a moment, look at your 20s. You don't know anything, you don't know anyone, and you have no money. That's your 20s. In your 30s, you know a little bit, and you know a few people, and you still have no money. In your 40s, you know something and you start knowing some people and you have a tiny bit of money. And then when you get into your 50s and especially your 60s, in your 50s, I'm thinking late 50s, 55, 6, and 7, you now know stuff and you know people and you have enough money to actually do something now. You did not in your previous life. There's a very small window in your professional career where all three of these things come together: the people you know, what you know, and the ability to be able to capitalize and fund all of that. So, the first part of your question is that at my age and a few years older than me, all of my counterparts as senior leadership at other companies are like, what are you doing? You're starting a whole new company at 63. Are you out of your mind? Why are you not retired, hanging out at the ranch? As I mentioned already, I like being with you guys and I like doing what I do. I love what I get to do. I don't know what I would do. I mean, I don't know think about what your job is every single day. The worst day, best day. The worst day is that you've had things go haywire. People didn't do what they said they were going to do. Somebody said something and it really wasn't that. And you're at 6 and 7 and 8 o'clock tonight going, oh my God, I got another hour's worth of work. But you get to do something that is so rewarding and so impactful to our customers, and that it is rare that you can find both of these things. A physician will improve a person's quality of life. They can make it worse too, but a physician will improve a person's quality of life. They may or may not improve their wealth, however. You do both. You get to improve and really make a difference in a person's quality of life. Your home oftentimes serves as the backdrop for the most significant things that happen in your life, positive and negative, but it's back there. Sometimes so important it gets passed down generation to generation. And secondly, real estate will make you a millionaire, period. Period. If you buy real estate and you hold it long enough and you let somebody else pay your payments through rent and stuff, you're going to become a millionaire. Now, you can become a millionaire and make some cool software program or invest properly and all that kind of stuff. But if you really are set out to become a millionaire somewhere in your life, you got to buy real estate and keep it and then eventually let it work for you when you retire. So I don't know of an industry that has this kind of impactfulness on a customer or consumer or borrower or clients. For you two guys, and for the rest of the people that are watching this thing, come on. Neither one of you are supposed to be here. You had some other career in your head. You were, I'm going to go be a baseball player. I'm going to be a doctor.
I didn't go to college and say I was going to be a mortgage loan officer, that's for sure.
Yeah, nobody says, oh, honey, someday I hope you're a processor. That nobody does that, right? So at the end of the day, you've been able to make a big impact in your customers' lives, and your customers have made a big impact in yours and your family's life. I don't know a lot of other industries that do that. As it relates to my 10 years, I think I got 10 years to burn it at both ends. I think I have 10 years that I have the mindset. I physically feel good. I think I have the right connections. I think we have the right capital. I think we have the right creativity. I think I got 10 years to do that. So, okay, I'm 73 years old. All right. Well, I'm not immortal. Neither are you guys, right? Your parents and your grandparents had illnesses that you may or may not get. Right? You don't automatically get cancer because there's cancer in your family. You don't automatically have a heart attack because somebody in your family had a heart attack. You don't automatically have Alzheimer's because somebody in your family had Alzheimer's, but both my parents passed away from complications of Alzheimer's. So that obviously wears on me to say, okay, at some point do I go over? And I'm not saying any heart attack, diabetes, stroke, cancer, a lot, if not all of those particular medical issues, in my opinion, stem from stress, grinding, kind of putting your foot on the brake and the foot on the gas kind of thing. And so what I try to do and I'm doing this more and more today than ever before. I just do not get so hooked up on stuff anymore. Hey, so and so, you had a break in of your office in San Antonio 3 weeks ago and they stole some stuff. Oh my God, they stole a laptop and all that data. Stop. We have a mechanism to automatically fry laptops regardless of where they are, who has them, or what have you. As you know, we do a lot of different multi-authentication of you being able to get to your data, which I know irritates everybody.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not irritated about it when you lose your laptop. When we are happy about that when you forget your laptop at the airport. So the point is that I think where I am in my life, I hope that I can see my 10 years through. I hope that I'm making a difference, not just to you guys, but your clients, not just to your clients, but their families and your families. As you have heard me say, I'm completely unqualified to be in this position. I'm surprised you even work here for, at me being the president. I'm like, oh, what are we doing?
I'm surprised you employ me.
That's a lot.
It's a two-way street, man. So,
Did I just derail us?
people look at me, and I was on the phone with a loan officer about 2 weeks ago, and she's coming on board, but she talks to the regional or the divisional and says, is he like always like that? Is that the way he really is? Or is that like a show for me? No. Let me show you some of the stuff he's been on stage doing goofy stuff. So I guess my energy comes from, you only do this once. And I want to see if I can get as much out of it as I can. And you hear me talk about time all the time, that it's the most valuable thing you own. You don't know when it's done. And when it's done, not another dollar is in your checking account is going to save you any additional time on the planet when it's short term. You might as well enjoy it. Might as well be present, and you might as well get as much out of it as you can. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Now, I know a lot of us are going to watch this, but I think my question was for people thinking about joining us. When I talk to you, when Randy, when we see you talk, there's a lot of passion there. So I just kind of wanted that to come out in this conversation. It's easy for you to let that out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Somebody said to me that they can hear me.
Yeah.
I said, what does that mean? I think they were trying to be complimentary. They said, you don't use a lot of big words. And I said, well, thanks. I'm a byproduct of public school system, and I flunked out of that. So I don't have a lot of big words. But I guess you can hear me because, I don't know, I like to keep it simple. Simple things are easy to explain. They are easy to replicate, and they're easy to fix when they break, and they always break. So in my own mind, I try to take very complicated things and boil them down to, okay, Randy, what do you need? Chris, I need a bridge loan. I need it for 90 days. You can cross-collateralize these guys. Okay. So what are you going to charge? I cannot charge points. I cannot charge a high interest rate. So this sounds like I'm about to lose money. So what's the deal is, if I can put this together, though, this will secure me as the preferred lender at this builder, and I can go get a bunch more business. Okay. Is it an expense or is it an investment, Randy? This is an investment. You're investing in me to go get more business at that builder. Then I'll invest in you. Here's your loan.
You see the bank as an avenue for more stuff like that for us fellow loan officers?
We're focusing on a couple of things that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I want a doctor loan, I want a nurse loan, and I want a first responder loan. So a firefighter, police officer, and emergency personnel I'd like to see, and by the way, these will be preferred terms and preferred rates. I'm hoping to bank them, obviously, but at the same time, I'm also hoping to do what's right. We're very focused on our veteran community today, but I'd like to also focus on some of these other folks that aren't as focused on. It's easy to focus on the veteran community because you just simply send those loans to the VA. We'd like to be able to do things that are helping people that are helping people, if that makes sense. And so you can't do those loans unless you have a bank balance sheet to where you can portfolio that business.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the doctor loan is available soon.
It is, it is available on a limited basis soon. We will be
Yeah.
rolling that out, but we don't do that loan today. We have another partnership bank that we're doing that loan with.
Okay.
Our goal is to have that business stay internally. We're also focused on servicing the all-in-one ourselves, so we don't have to send it out to somebody else. So it'll be a bank CMG checking account. We're also talking about giving you guys the opportunity to do commercial loans, not commercial building loans, but commercial working lines of credit loans, so you can talk to small businesses and help them grow. And then lastly, we're talking about a variety of different investment opportunities, all the way from CDs, money markets, and high yield savings, all the way to real wealth management investment. And the idea behind that is that allow you to compete directly with the too big to fails, right? The very low intermediate arm jumbo loans. Those are the kind of loans that I really want to bank those people and be able to make those loans.
One thing that comes to mind, I think a lot of us loan officers think about when we hear about this transition to the bank, is the idea of being able to lend in 50 states. And you talked about licensing briefly, but what does that look like for anyone that's listening? When do CMG loan officers get to bank and get to lend in all 50 states? Well, I don't understand that whole process.
Once you're an employee of the bank, you are licensed to lend in every state in the United States, including Puerto Rico, and West Virginia.
Yeah. So then it's just a matter of the footprint of the bank expanding enough that Maine and the other states that operate.
No. So, for instance, you guys are on Beach Street. You guys, if I took your branch and made you a loan production office,
yeah, boom,
Bingo.
So that's a plan, obviously, at some point, right? Like,
yeah, it is the plan. I mean, again, systemically and thoughtfully, we want to go about this, but I don't want somebody to be alarmed and easy to listening now saying, oh my God, I can't work for a bank for all the reasons. I made a joke when we were at the sales summit that a lot of people were attacked by a community bank as a child. So my feeling about that, I think they've worked for the wrong company or the wrong bank. And so my hope is to win them over. Is it possible we might have a small amount of people that say, hey, listen, I don't want to get licensed in more states, and I have no interest in selling any of the other banking products, and I want to stay as an independent mortgage banker? Possibly. We've entertained the idea of maybe keeping a small amount on the banking side, on the IMB side, and let everybody else go to the bank. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We like the flexibility of who we are and the maneuverability of who we are. I don't want to lose that. I do think that, if I'm a loan officer in today's marketplace, I want to have every single possible tool in my toolbox. And if that means I'm working for a bank underneath Chris George, then I'll work for the bank under Chris George.
Are there any misconceptions that you're hearing out there, or criticism of
a little bit of what I talked about already, that people seem to think that, working for a bank, I'm going to have a lot more rules or a stricter way of having to conduct my business. I think there's a misconception that there is it may not be a misconception. I'm still surprised how some banks think. And let me explain to that. So we're in the process of talking to a bunch of different customers around the country. And in one particular customer that I know here in the Bay Area that is now a bank customer, he's banked with his bank. It was a couple of iterations, so the bank's gotten sold a couple of times. He's a construction company, and they're like a excavation company. And he's banked with the bank for 41 years. 41 years, 4 decades. And so he has $1.5 million line of credit. And he wanted to increase it by $500,000. The majority of his business, what they do is they resurface the parking lot for schools. So when schools go out in May, they have until May 15th until August 15th to do all these schools. And it takes a while for the state of California to pay them. So he needs this line of credit to do all this work, and it goes larger, and then he pays it all back when he finally gets all their money. But he can do more if he has a bigger line of credit. So he went down to go talk to him for a $500,000 increase of the line of credit. And he said, first of all, nobody even knew him or what he did. He's been there for 4 decades. So he called me. I hook him up with the president of our bank. Within a week, we've increased his line from $1.5 to $2.5 million. He moves his entire banking relationship, personal and business, to the bank. And through that entire process, By the way, it's not insignificant. His banking relationship is a couple of $1 million at this bank, again, because he's a pretty decent sized company. 6 months after he moves his relationship, he gets a phone call from some customer service person saying, "Hey, bud, we know you don't bank here anymore. We were wondering why you don't bank here anymore." 6 months. And I'm like, "What'd you do?" And he goes, "I just laughed at him." He said, "I moved my entire personal and business banking relationship from this bank that I've been with for 4 decades and didn't make the needle move at all for 6 months." And the person that called me had no idea. To me, the misconception is partly the conception. And the conception is that sometimes banks don't seem to really care all that much about you as a customer. It isn't within that statement. I think it's why people don't care too much about their bank.
Yeah. I am certainly excited to spread the word on the whole bank transition over the years to come. I mean, I think it'll be a great differentiating factor for us in our marketplace, that's for sure. So, what excites you about the mortgage industry in 2026? You excited about anything? It's going to be a good year? What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, it probably sounds a little biased, right? Because we just got done with our sales summit. We've got 800 people in the room that are sharing information, exchanging ideas. We've got creme de la creme up on stage talking about AI, talking about artificial intelligence, talking about social media, talking about builder business. You've got people that are very Habib and a number of coaches that are up on stage talking about how to take advantage, how to get out of your own way. You've got me talking about mindset and talking about how to get yourself stay focused instead of veering off into something that distracts you. And for a moment, I kind of sat in the back of the room with my cup of coffee, watching the circus go on, watching everyone just, for lack of a better word, like one another. You know what I mean? We have a very unique culture. The guy that was at my house last Thursday is a top 5 loan officer at another company in the marketplace. And he asked me some questions about that because he was talking to other top producers in the company. And he says, "Look, I've talked to like 5 of your top producers, and each one of them seemed very willing to give me their time. Each one of them seemed very interested in talking to me about how they've grown their business, either how they assembled their team, or how they use YouTube, or how they use social media, or how they're using builder business with forward commitments." He said, "I talked to like 6 of your people, and each one of them gave me a solid 45 minutes. 2 of them gave me more than an hour. I'm calling them during the middle of the day. You know, I'm wherever they are in the country. I know I'm interrupting their business day." Would you say that's part of your culture? I said, "I'm telling you, that might be one of the 4 cornerstones of our culture. That we really do and are interested in helping each and every one succeed, not just waiting for Chris George to call you back or call me when you need me." But the bottom line is, I think that our culture is one where everyone is all trying to head toward the same place together to help other people be successful. So with that in mind, it's probably the single most exciting thing that I believe is happening in the marketplace going forward. There's going to be more consolidation. There's going to be more companies that are going to go out of business and just throw in the towel, say we're done, because they're done. Today's work, you know this, it's hard work today. But I will tell you, somehow, with a lot of hard work, you guys are a part of this kind of communication and the rest of the way we communicate internally and externally to one another. Somehow, we have not lost sight on the essence of who we are culturally and who our company personality is. If we lose that, I think we lose the whole thing. I think if we suddenly become what we have not all wanted to be, and a lot of people have joined us because they were at companies that changed, right? They used to be this way, and then money or management came in and they went another way. From my perspective, it is the secret sauce. It's the blend between sales and ops and field and corporate. It's the availability to have these kinds of really candid conversations. It's the ability to be able to usher new people in correctly And in some cases, as you guys know, maybe send a few home that we don't need here, that aren't great to operations or aren't great to one another. Even if they're big producers, I continue to talk about life as being short. Go find your people. So when I talk to loan officers and they call me, I said, you got to kick tires. You got to determine if we're your people. Well, what if you're not? Then you got to go find your people. Doesn't matter how much you get paid to come on board or whatever. If your people are still at your company, you should stay there. You shouldn't leave. And if your people are here, you should come here. And so to that end, I think that what excites me the most about what's going forward in the next few years, and I talk about all the AI and all that and the bank, and I'm excited about all that stuff, by the way. I'm just so happy after 33 years of being in business, we're still the same company. We're bigger, but we're still the same company. We still operate with the same principles. We still treat one another the same way. We treat our customers the same way. We treat our referral sources the same way. I don't want to lose that. And if we lose it, I don't want to run a company that isn't that. And so when I get in front of you guys, all you sales guys and gals, and I say, hey, listen, if we have to be something else in order to grow, I don't want to get any bigger than what I am right now, because I dig this little corner that we got today. I don't want it to change.
I could really feel that at the sales summit. So I went to the sales summit in Houston a few weeks back, and I could really feel that back down there. It seemed like everyone was family, everyone was supporting each other, and it was a great feeling for me. Really felt it.
It's a great feeling. My mom and dad passed away, I mentioned, in 2014. I wished both of them were alive. My dad was the first person in his family to go to college, right, put himself to school. And so my brothers and sisters, my dad just drilled into us, in order for you to be successful, you. And so me flunking my way out of high school, I know that was like, oh, Toledo, Chris is going to live on the street. And I would have loved to have had them. They saw our company grow from obviously the very early days into 2014, but there's been exponential growth in the last 10 years. And I think my dad would just laugh. My father thought that my life was like a replica of Forrest Gump's life, that he thought that because and some other time, and I tell you, we should do a show on this, because I think it'd be a fun thing to do. Sort of the crazy places I have been, testified in front of Congress. John Voight was at my house a couple of weeks ago. I mean, John Voight, so it's insane the stupid things that happened to me, all the way from him to Gary Sinise to Jay Leno to everybody in between. But the point, though, is that on September 11, 2001, I was in Washington, D.C. And if you remember that day, I don't know if this was happening all over the country, but in DC and New York, you couldn't make a cell phone call because it was just locked up. Everybody was on their cell phone. And when I finally was able to make a cell phone, one of the first calls that came through was my dad. And so I answered and I go, hey, what's going on? And he's like, let me guess, you're in New York or you're in DC? And I said, I'm in DC. He goes, I knew you'd be. I just knew when I saw what was going on TV. I said, Chris is in New York or in DC. So it would have been fun. And for those of you that are watching this right now, I joined a club in the same year that most kids join, and that is the Saying Goodbye to Your Parent Club, which is a crappy club to be in. It's better than the alternative, by the way, when you say goodbye to your child. But when I got into that club, a friend of mine said to me, his parents had passed away prior to mine. He said, I know you're not going to believe this right now, but you will talk to your mother and father almost more after they have passed away than when they were alive. And I find myself doing that today. I find myself walking along out at the ranch talking to my dad and mom, and I'm sure there's saying, why do these people work for you? I mean, you've got them all snowed, Chris. They don't know.
But hey, how many people work for CMG at this point? Over 3,000?
About 4,200.
Unbelievable.
What
a run.
Yes. What an amazing run, because if you look at 2006 to 2009, I know what I went through. I heard your story, and here we are today. Give me one word on that.
The word I'll give to you is loyalty.
Yeah.
I had employees at that time who said they didn't need a paycheck and they didn't take one. I had folks working 2 different shifts toward the end of 2008 when the Feds intervened and started buying mortgage-backed securities and interest rates dropped. I had a day shift and a night shift, and we were working almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have people that still work for me today that worked for me then. I'm convinced, and this is not a badge of honor, but I'm convinced that the amount of pressure and stress that that period of time put on people probably gave people strokes, heart attacks, cancer, and a number of other medical conditions. And it sickens me, but I will tell you, we did not survive those days because I was able to borrow money or because we had creative products or for that matter, we made loans. We survived those days, period, because of the kind of caliber and the perseverance and the type of character of people that worked for the company during that time. And you may have heard me talk about Kim Callis, who was my second in command, and a number of other people that were working for us back in that time. They were just dedicated to one thing and one thing only, and that was to keep the company alive.
Yeah, it's amazing. Here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Got
Still
some gray
here.
hair.
Still here.
Still here.
I think that's a good place to end it. And I appreciate coming on. And there's a lot to look forward to here at CMG. I hope anyone that's listening, fellow CMG loan officers from other companies, our referral partners, there's a lot to look forward to at CMG in the years to come. So thanks for coming on to chat about it with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Chris.
And I think we will do that Chris George Storytime podcast sometime down the road. I want to hear about all those visitors you had at the ranches and the cool places you've been. That'd be fun.
We can start with the day that I almost electrocuted myself.
Should we block 2 hours? I feel like
it's a cliffhanger. Who killed JR?
Hey, Chris, thanks again, bud. I look forward to that story. We'll be in touch.
Thank
Talk
you.
to you soon.